Hello everyone. Today I will be go overing the interviewing preparation following my last video, which is working on the best format for your resume. So this is a template that I got from YouTube, so shout out to them. And I'll be going over some of the interview preparation since I sat down through hundreds of resume reviews and interviews with different engineering disciplines. So the purpose of the interview in general is to evaluate the talent, look at their experiences, skill sets, their interpersonal skills when it comes to, communication, personality, and the most important aspect of all is um, their problem solving skills. And then based on all of those points that we look at, then we look at what is the best fit for them in the company or the organization. And most likely, just because you apply for a position during that team, of interviewers and during those that are evaluating you, you might end up having a different position that best matches your skills based on how you did in the interview. So before preparing for an interview, the first thing is you need to have a good resume, which I had put in that video previously. Sorry. And on YouTube, and you can check that out. So having a good resume really gets you the interview. The second step is looking at the position. So when you're applying for a job or at any company, you look at their prerequisites, right? What are their needs? Then you take those keywords and you try to include them on your resume because that would really help your chances of getting or getting an interview. And so tailor your resume based on the need and make sure that you actually are putting skill set that matches um your work experience or your projects you worked on. Don't say that you have skills in C language or Python and you have never done any projects in those. That is not sufficient. Don't include that because you'll be tested on it, and don't lie on your resume. That's the bottom line. And so after having the resume, you look at the position you're applying to, you look at the prerequisites, you match them all, you tailor your resume to it. The next step is, you know, preparing for the actual interview. In the beginning, there's different companies follow different strategies when it comes to interviewing new talents or candidates. But the first one is usually the recruiter call, where, just high level questions about your interest, your background, and things like that. The second interview would be with a technical team or the manager. And this is when it comes first, they do the behavior questions, and the second is technical questions. Behavior questions, they look at whether you can work in teams, your problem solving skills, your communication skills, and the overall, if you can work under pressure. These are the four top things they look at. Then to the technical aspect, it depends. The technical questions, it depends also on your background, whether it was mechanical, electrical, or or chemical engineering. So for those, you can look them up online. You can look, and usually that technical background or technical question interview takes an hour or 45 minutes. And let's say like you don't have an answer to something, say it as is. Don't pretend that you know something that you don't, but you can work around it. Let's say like, you know, that question that they asked, have you ever came across, a problem in a circuit if you're an electrical engineer? And what did you do? I was actually asked that question. And so, you just give them suggestion of troubleshooting issues, right? And that was like an entry level position. And like I said, they look at your what technical skills you have, but the most important thing is how you solve problems, how you communicate through, how do you work with other people. These are the main aspects of things. Let's say like you might have failed, two questions in technical, but you answered correctly in behavior, you have a higher chance of getting the job from the other way around. Because yes, we look at skill sets, but also at the same time, companies, they really value other interpersonal skills as well. So in here, there's some of the aspect is, number one, research the employer to be informed about the organization, products, services, value, and cultures, and upcoming projects using their website, social media accounts, Glassdoor. There's a lot of information online about the companies. You can just look them up. Second thing is match your skills and qualification to the job description. So tailor a resume, as I mentioned before. Three, practice makes perfect. So use Career Center to practice. So this is for UTEP, but they're depending on your university, go to their Career Centers, start searching for resources and interview tips. But this is like the overall the interview tips that most of the companies, most of the schools that offer them, this is pretty much the format for it. Four, explore interview preparation resources at Indeed Jobs, a search academy, and get tools you need to succeed in your next interview. So look at YouTube videos. Sometimes people from similar backgrounds have done interviews at, big tech companies or companies you might be interested in. Look them up. Look at the questions they have. They might not be the same questions, but very similar. Number five in here, attend one of sometimes the Career Center offers a workshop, interview workshop, go to them, you're not going to lose anything. And most universities and college offer that services. Just reach out to your Career Service Center and look them up. Number six, if it was in-person interview or online interview, you need to prepare your professional attire and plan to arrive 15 minutes before early. You know, because being early really says a lot about the person and whatnot. The second things is that there is a lot of universities and colleges, they offer a professional attire that you can borrow if you can afford it. There's a lot of services like that, so make sure you reach out to your university, especially before the career fairs. And I always say that you have a higher chance getting a job at a career fair than at than applying online. Because in person really, having an in-person face-to-face conversation and handing them your resume really makes the biggest difference. Because, you're applying to a job and you'll see like sometimes on LinkedIn or other website, they show how many candidates have applied. You'll see like thousands of people. It's very hard to go through each one of them. But if you're like in person and you're applying for the job and you talk to the recruiter face to face, it really helps. So having the professional attire, having multiple copies of your resumes, and attending every single career fair. Even if you're a freshman, just go, get experience, talk to people. You never know, you might be landing your next internship. Here are some types of the interview questions. Like I said, you can look them up either on YouTube or, on any website. And sometimes even companies offer some interviewing tips and preps that they usually send before the interview. So you can use those resources as well. So traditional questions, they ask you, tell us about yourself. What is your greatest strength and weaknesses? Um, this is just kind of like a high level questions. And then you have the behavior questions that I mentioned, which is they want to see if you can work under pressure, if you can manage your time wisely, if you can work with different groups, if you are, what type of person you are. Are you a leader? Um, and can you manage multiple tasks and also your communication skills. So an example of that would be share an experience where you failed. What did you learn, right? So companies when they ask questions like that, they usually want to see, um, you know, do you work based on feedback, right? You failed in something. What did you learn? How did you improve? Did you use it? Um, to adapt new methods, new skill set, things like that. That's when they want to know is that are you open to learning new things? And do you actually learn from experiences and projects, things like that. Second one is describe a situation when your work was criticized, and how did you handle the feedback and incorporate it in your future work? So let's say, like I said, receiving feedback, right? They want to see if you're open to receiving feedback. Are you open to adapting and learning? This is very important because as an engineer, you'll keep learning until the day you die. And now we go to the technical aspect of things, which is technical questions. These questions are designed to measure your problem-solving skills, technical knowledge required for the position. It is important to allow the interviewer to hear and understand the process of how you arrive at an answer or approach to a problem. So the process, your thought process, they evaluate your thought process. Like I said, just because you can't answer the question or you have never came across that technical issue, explain to them, walk them through how you would solve it if you had approached it. And this would really help because they evaluate you on the process, your thought process, and your problem-solving thought process as an overall. An example, what are the key factors for financial analysis? So this is like financing question, not applicable for engineers, but for engineers, they'll be like, you have this problem, program it in C, right? Like I said about the circuit problem, the circuit's having issues. How would you come about it and solve those issues? This is some of the answering some of the behavior questions. The behavior questions are very, very common, and they evaluate your past behavior in order to predict your future behavior and evaluate your overall personality. Example of behavior interview questions is describe a major problem you faced, how you dealt with it. So for this question, you will, like I said, you will walk them through your thought process and they will evaluate based on that. You will see if you can work under pressure, right? You can work under stress. You manage your time wisely. And if you were creative, thinking outside the box um, when you face that issue or problem. And then second one, give an example when you worked in a group to accomplish tasks for a project. So just, talking about your project, talking about your accomplishment and talking about um, how you made a difference in that group and what was the outcome of it. And make sure to mention some of the obstacles that you faced and um, how you overcame them. And that goes to question one, but tie question one and two together answers makes it better. Number three, what class did you take the mo what class did you like the most and what did you like about it? So this wanted to see your career interest. And you can say, I don't really, it doesn't have to be one class, it can be multiple classes. And if it's not part of your classes, it might be a projects that you want to talk about. So let's say like you don't have a favorite class, right? Or you did not really like a class, in your curriculum. You can talk about projects that you worked that involves that particular subject that you're interested in. For tips, prepare a short description of each situation. Ensure each story has beginning, middle, and end. Be sure the outcomes or result reflects positive on you. Be honest. You know, don't don't lie about your stories because people will find out. Be specific. Don't generalize on details. Provide details, technical details, right? Include the whole thought process and the breakdown on how you did it. And so there's this STAR method, which is a technique you can use to answer behavior questions in a thoughtful, um, concise manner. The following examples show how you can use it. Situation is, tell us about a time when you had to coordinate an event. Describe the situation. Provide the interview with context. So you need to give some kind of background. Help the interviewer understand task at hand and describe the job that needed to be accomplished. So that's what you need to say. Provide details. Talk about your strategies and your action, your thought process, and break it down. An example, explain the outcome. of the situation and the results of your actions. So talk about the outcome, like I mentioned before, what you accomplished, and how much did it make of a difference in your project. And these are just like an overview of some of the interviewing tips that you can use to prepare for your next preparation for your next interview. And I just want to say this, don't be nervous. I know it's very hard to be nervous, but what is the worst thing can happen? You don't get the job. So there's so many jobs out there that you can apply to. So don't feel stress and don't feel nervous, and you got this. Always believe in yourself, and just don't give up. Keep applying. And I'll tell you this story is that when I first started applying for jobs, I applied four months before graduating, and I got the job before graduation. And during that time, I was applying to 20 to 30 to sometimes 50 positions a day all over the country, especially, as an undergrad looking for their um, of first time engineering job, right? You apply a lot, don't wait last minute. Don't be nervous, be confident about yourself, uh, because you're there to provide a service for them. You're there to make them profit, and you're there to benefit and learn. And keep that passion going. And don't feel discouraged. Just keep going, keep applying, and send emails. Even go in person to startup companies with a resume and tell them that you're interested in such a job, right? Reach out to recruiters through LinkedIn and ask them for help, for tips. You never know. People might help you out. Some people might not answer you, but keep doing it, right? However, don't send like 10 emails in a row. No, send one email, that's it, right? They send, maybe a second one to follow up on LinkedIn. Don't send multiple messages to people. Just send one, wait for a response. They did not respond. That's good. Move on to the next one and keep doing that. Don't put your eggs in one basket. Keep applying to multiple different companies that you're interested in, and don't really pay attention so much to the titles, but pay attention to the job requirements and then prerequisites for the job, because that's what matters. Sometimes the titles might be misleading, and sometimes you'll be interviewing for a job with certain title, but then based on your skill set, they will match you to a different job title. So don't pay attention to the titles as much, but pay attention to the job duties. And that's all that I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and good luck.